rugby came and they were like, "Do you mind if we ask you questions?"
I started saying
I guess. Yeah, that's what I was like. I was
People like didn't answer,
Luke knows I was on
five,
finance,
then
so
five
he
of
was
that,
like,
five of that.
"What do you think of this?" And like he showed me
People
this
forget
video.
the
It
end.
was very, very in depth.
No, just don't know how to spell.
Like he went down to
Yeah.
like, the coach stipend and how it's like
Basically.
how much that would cost for like per
Yeah.
mile and per hour and stuff like that too for like the coach.
No, it's not even.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, what? Yeah. What?
And then text Gwen, so she knows that we're getting our name tags.
There's a balloon stuck to the fan out there.
They're magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a balloon stuck to the fan out there. I said, no
What's
way.
my fourth name
Just leave
tag?
it. Go pop.
How do I do it?
That's what
Oh
you
my
like to
God.
start Keelan.
Just let it out.
Me.
You just go ahead.
So nice and
That makes so much
sense. Like half the
I
time.
I don't know why I keep putting it on the left side, but if you just a lefty habit. I'm a lefty.
Yeah, I still might pretend to digest.
It's okay. I don't think it matters.
I know, but like, no, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a habit. Like, I always put it on my left side, because it's, again, like, I'm just used to it.
I'm not calling public safety for the second time in the span of 5 days. And I was on a tour Friday, but my tourists passed out.
I'm not like one of those.
Then also
Huh?
on the dot.
Oh, yeah,
Have a good chance.
Gary told me about that after I got back.
So that was an insane tour.
We have a full week, so.
No,
Oh, yeah, but I've got
you were just, you were a little frazzled.
I was completely fine. I just wanted to go and do anything else, and just everyone kept talking to me about it. I'm like, I just want to go do
No,
something.
he told me Friday.
And one of the
I ended up having brought on tour. As you already know. Like,
Yeah.
Someone from the left side decided to show up too. That she didn't show up at 11:30.
That's crazy.
Yeah, after that,
So,
yeah, you announced that now. The
but
only
no,
exception I would
like,
make
that,
is
like, he told me that anyone,
you're able to get through.
I'm sorry, if I were in your shoes, I would have been, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I
done.
have one skin.
Well, they told me to go home. I told them I could stay through the whole shift. They told me to
I
go
got a
home.
shirt, I got a sweater, I got a
You stayed the whole shift there?
I stayed till 4.
Unfortunately, Sarah not being there is very positive. Emily is outside this week.
Oh, I've been
I would say yes, if you're comfortable with it, and the Constitution's are
Oh,
good,
then
yeah.
No, but honestly, Saturday, I'm praying to God that they don't all need us, because if they don't need me, I'm gonna take that day off. Because I have to work Sunday. Yeah, football tour. Although I get less hours for football tour, so.
You know, there's like a huge shortage on these Red Bulls, and it makes me so sad. Like they only sell them in cases right now, and not like in the individuals.
What one?
Amen. The peach nectarine one, the best one.
Lydia,
Oh, that's really good.
I have an
The Senate
idea.
president has decreed.
First order of business.
I say first we break into Costco, steal as many as we can,
This is being live streamed.
burn the place to the ground. Now there's no
Whoa,
evidence.
whoa, whoa.
This is being live streamed.
Costco.
What cost?
Next thing we know, Senate's sponsored by Red Bull.
Remember when Kaylin said they can hear and see everything we do?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Why do you think everyone, whoa, 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 whoa?
So cheap.
I showed you like a coffee.
Can I get a Red Bull scooter?
Being order, roll call please. Senator Baker,
Present.
Senator Bissonnette,
Here.
Senator Bronson,
Present.
Senator Brown, here. Senator Clear, Senator Conlon,
Right here.
Senator Day, here. Senator Garcia,
Present.
Senator Godek,
Present.
Senator Gilmore,
Present.
Senator Hastings,
Present.
Senator Powers, Senator Scorpa, Senator Shaw, Chairperson Amaya.
Here.
Chairperson Goyer. Here. Chairperson Hum.
Present.
Chairperson Peralt.
Present.
Vice President Kaufman.
President.
And President Fairmont.
So, hi guys. I loved our conversation about Red Bull, but now let's get into our actual agenda for today. I move to accept the minutes from the 4/16 meeting.
Second.
Second.
Are there any revisions, additions, or deletions? Move to a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Minutes have been accepted. So for new and existing business, I put a couple of different memos in the Kodiak. So I hope you were all able to look at them. I did print out a couple. So for the first thing, we have the General University requirement GUR feedback. Today we have David Mazer, a professor in mathematics today, and he's going to talk to us about the revisions and just general university requirements. He reached out and is the chairperson of the Faculty Senate's Undergraduate Programs Committee, which is responsible for the oversight of GURs. So I will allocate 10 minutes for this discussion. I'll hand the floor off to you.
Sure. Thank you everyone for having me here. So I'm Dave Mazer. I've been a professor of mathematics here since 1999, and I'm currently the chair of the Undergraduate Programs Committee, as Lydia said, at the Faculty Senate. So you have the memo that I provided you all. I thought maybe what I could do is just share some updates on what we've been doing, and maybe add a little bit more details of what's here. And then also, I hope this is the beginning of a partnership as we move through this process of revamping the General University requirements. First of all, I'm 100% positive it will have a different name than GUR, or General University Requirements, when it finally gets adopted. So this, and again, happy to answer any questions. I thought I'd just go through a couple of points on this, and then I also have some questions for your group to consider at the end, just ways that you all could help us in this effort. So if that sounds good, all right. So this began a little over a year ago when the provost asked us to look at the General University requirements and look at what else was going on at other institutions, and also to sort of fix a few things that we knew were going on with the General University requirements. So that's what the Undergraduate Programs Committee is really spending a lot of time doing right now. There's a lot of reasons to look at the GUR. You may have your own reasons. Here are some that we've heard after, and that we're aware of personally too, after talking to a lot of people over the past year plus. They are about the General University Requirement Program is about 20 years old. It hasn't changed like substantially in that amount of time. There have been some little changes. And we also know that you may have experienced difficulty in getting in certain courses that you have to take in order to satisfy your GURs. And so we're certainly aware of that. And we've also heard from a lot of people, even including us as faculty, that everyone might appreciate some more flexibility in choices and in what you take to satisfy this. There's a couple of other things here that I mentioned, but it is time to look at this and to bring it up to date. So we're working with all those requirements, but we're also working with our accreditation requirements that says that any undergraduate program has to have 40 credits of what's considered general education. You get some flexibility and leeway in how you implement that. So that's what we're hoping to take advantage of, while at the same time, addressing some of the concerns that that we've heard about. So we've done a lot of stuff since last January. Various groups have been working on this, faculty groups, and we've met with a lot of people, including a group. About a year ago, we met with the Council of Student Leaders. I don't know if any of you were a part of that at that time. I forget the exact makeup of that group, but it did involve students from across all 4 undergraduate colleges. We had a really good conversation, sort of a free-ranging conversation about the general university requirements. We've been also, in addition to working a lot with faculty, we've been talking with marketing, enrollment, admissions, a lot of different people about the full picture here. We have done some student focus groups recently. Professor Gettens did one with some juniors and seniors in the College of Engineering. Professor Schoonmaker did one with students in the College of Business, and we're also planning on some soon with A&S and Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And there's been various faculty groups also working on this. We have a session this Friday where we're going to invite a bunch of faculty in to look at things like high impact practices, DEI, and the first year, and how we can do some things related to those. So here's here's kind of like our plan or our timetable. Doing stuff like this at most universities takes a lot of time, but we're trying to be like as aggressive with our timetable as possible. So by beginning of June or so, we want to have a couple of proposals for a new GUR for the faculty to consider and think about over the summer. And then come the fall, we want to engage a lot of people across campus about these possibilities, kind of put in the details and the way things are going to work. And that's where, in part, you all will come in as well. And then pursue getting a new, general education curriculum approved, hopefully by the end of the fall semester, in time for implementation in fall 2025. And I should say too that we're, with the help of the Provost's office, we got selected to participate in a national institute that involves a bunch of schools doing similar work like this. So this is part of the American Association of Colleges and Universities. It's an institute on general education and so forth. So that's been really helpful because you have access to people that do this kind of work and experts that have been through all this sort of gen ed reform before. Any questions at this point? I can get then to the two questions that I had for you all, but anything that I can either clarify or answer for you at this point? Yeah.
Senator Hastings.
My question's in regards to, you're saying that you potentially want to implement this 2025. My question is, for people that are currently under the current GUR regulations, would they need to still be required or conform to the new regulations? Does that make sense in regards to their coursework?
Right, I understand. Usually the way it works is like when you pick your catalog year, like when you come in, as a freshman, you're under that catalog year, and that carries through your 4 years unless you opt to follow a new catalog. So at that point, I mean, people, like 2 years in, you could opt to follow the new catalog, or you could still follow the old GUR. It may make sense to follow the old GUR, but we would have, as part of all this, and it's also part of all the the work that you have to do, we would have an idea of like how to transition this, because this would kind of transition in slowly over 4 years. If there were going to be something different that happened in the first year, that would happen with the students coming in fall 2025. They would go through under the new curriculum, but I think everybody else, the default is to just stay under the existing curriculum, and then it eventually gets phased out. But you always do have an option of opting for a newer catalog year if it makes sense to your program.
Senator Bennett.
I guess my main question is, especially with there being the multiple different colleges, how are we gonna be able to like make sure that everyone's like getting the same kind of GUR courses, especially as each program's track has a different thing with it?
Yeah, and that's something that we're talking about. So if I understand your question, you're saying, I mean, we do want to increase flexibility, you know, in terms of like the course choices and what types of things that you get to take. And that could look different for different programs. You know, if you think of like an accounting and finance degree or an engineering degree, they're pretty stacked, right? I mean, there's a lot of requirements in there, and that's one of the things that we're working with. But we do. I mean, you know, one thing that would be nice would be for everyone to understand why you're doing the GUR, right? In other words, why all this is important, not just that you're checking off boxes and courses. I took one of these, one of these, one of these, but here are the skills that all these things are giving me, you know, together. And that could look different for different majors, but there's, I think, one thing we'd like to have is a story behind the GUR, and it's like a clear, you know, a clear sort of menu of skills. I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
Yeah.
So at this time, I seek to add 5 more minutes to this discussion. Are there any objections? Senator Bissonnette?
Okay, so I'm assuming it's been touched upon because you did mention that there are focus groups specific to engineering students.
Mhm.
But are you guys looking at like specifically like the engineering culture course requirements and how
Oh, yeah.
those have been very, very limited?
Yes, I mean, that's one of the main bottlenecks that we're, aware of. So, yeah, no question.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say, I believe you guys are 100% correct when you say that there are course bottlenecks, which makes it difficult for some students to register for GUR courses. This is something that I've heard in just 2 years of being here a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's definitely spot on. And then second off, based off of what Senator Godek just said, I understand like the programs and stuff are different between the colleges, but I think like the name GUR is kind of like a misnomer, if that's correct, because the colleges have different requirements for GURs, so they're not general university requirements, because it implies that they're all the same.
Absolutely. And, you know, in an ideal world, the GUR could be the GUR no matter what major you take. You just stack your major on top of it, you know. But because you have some majors with just a lot of requirements, it's like you have to somehow double dip or overlap sometimes with the GUR just practically. So that's the other reason that we're trying to build in flexibility is you know, and it's also a matter of working with the majors to say, okay, you have to require this particular course for your if a student has, you know, that is required for your major, but also is part of the GUR. The student has more choice over that. That'll be done on a department by department and case by case basis, but the overall goal is more flexibility, among other things.
So time is starting to run a little bit low. Do you want to start moving into what you want us to do?
Sure, but I'm also happy to take, I mean, let's keep the lines of communication open. I'm happy to take other questions either through Lydia or email me directly. My email is here. So 2 things for you to consider, and happy to get your feedback, you know, through Lydia or however on these things, and I can touch base with you all again. One thing is just about your current experience. If you could identify one knowledge area, skill, or experience that you think is missing from the current GUR and would be beneficial to you, what would that be? So that's the first thing. And then 2, like on a more practical point of view, this fall, as we have like some specific proposals that we're considering, what would be the best way to seek student input broadly on things like that, not just, you know, within this group here, but, you know, broadly. That's, I think we appreciate your insight on that too. So
And for these questions, I'll send out a Google form, so it's easier just to collect all the data for everyone, so I'll send it out to you guys probably later this evening. And then I can send you the results. and everything.
Sure, that'd be great.
Is there any last minute questions? The next conversation next to expire, right?
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you. Now I have to go to another meeting about 2 hours. So. That's right. So, yeah, thank you.
So next on our agenda is some clarification on some Res Life information. It has been discussed with the executive board that there was a lot of miscommunication between students and Res Life and just regarding the process once you're in it and the wait list. Today we have Christine Goodwin and Jess Hill to be able to present more clarifying information. What Vice President Kaufman and I had sent over an email, just with some of the top concerns that we were hearing, and that's that. So I'll allocate another 10 minutes. Well, I'll allocate 10 minutes to this discussion, and I'll hand the floor off to Christine and Jess.
I'm going to start by responding to your questions, and then Jess will help answer any specific questions you have beyond this. Does that make sense? So the first question was, housing as advertised for all grade levels filled up extremely fast. So one of the questions I'll have for you all is, I suspect you're talking about Gateway, because that's really the only place that we've ended up really with a wait list for upperclassmen. So Cam, do you want to clarify more?
Yeah, it was Gateway and then also La Rive filled fast
Yep.
for the sophomores.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the expected, that's what people wanted. Those were, we sort of figured that out. So I guess I'm not sure exactly how to answer it because there's only so many spaces and that's the people got them. But we are keeping wait lists, for to look at for both of those. The question about students receiving 24 hours notice of their housing selection time when some were told they would get them sooner. I'm going to say that I'm going to take responsibility for that one. This was because we really wanted to figure out how to do all of the housing accommodations as close as we possibly could, right? So we could have sent it out earlier, but then we would have had to retract and change and reshuffle. So we kept sort of waiting to try to think, when can we get as close as we possibly can? But that's something we'll think about for next year. We're just trying to give you as much notice, but not compromise on the accommodations process. Does that make sense? Is that close? The ability of online only graduate students to have priority housing on campus and possible impact this junior senior housing. That's actually not true, so I don't know where that came from. So this is a myth buster. There are graduate students who are here taking classes. There have been some requests for the future for grad students, for example, in the online pharmacy program to find housing for them when they are here for short periods of time. But what we've said is we can't give up beds for that, right? So it'll only be when we have beds available will we use that. So I'm not, we do know that Gateway is the best place for graduate students because it used to be senior housing, meaning like 65-year-old seniors, not like senior housing, right? It's set up for families, for married housing, for things that we are trying to accommodate as our graduate school numbers increase. But it's not for online, it's for full-time students who live here. The waitlist process and how it will work, to do more information, really we're just keeping a waitlist. It's not going to be publicized because we just want to give everybody the first bite of the apple, right, before we start going on the waitlist. So it's just give everybody the first bite of the apple before we proceed, but we will be keeping those. The waitlist process for Gateway. Did I do it all?
Yeah, and I'll just add, so essentially how the process worked is pretty much anybody who was in a group was able to pick housing, and of course the -1 groups were then able to participate in the process at the end of their day. As far as like the select event process, which we're looking at starting May 1st, that's next Wednesday. That's for anybody who is in an unmatched group. So those people who are the single peoples, they will have the opportunity to select housing. We are still going to be giving preference to seniors, well, rising seniors, rising juniors, and then rising sophomores. That way, again, Gateway and Evergreen that still has space available, or not Gateway, Southwood and Evergreen, which still has space available. Students will be able to have that as an option. Again, our seniors and juniors will have the preference of picking those housing options. Just so you know, grad housing selection still has to happen, so that's not until May 13th. So as we talk about kind of the wait to see what housing looks like, what capacity looks like. We really want to get through that before we start moving toward the wait list process, as well as whether we're going to do the premium singles. Again, it's really about making sure that everybody who wants a bed that is going to be a student here has the opportunity to get that before we start advertising anything regarding like premium singles or anything like that. So.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional questions for housing that you might want clarification on?
So with the regards to the gateway with the grad housing, after that time period goes when grad students are able to pick and everything, will it start to open up for undergrad students right away, or how will that go essentially?
Because it's returning, May 1st is returning graduate students. New graduate students will house right through the summer.
Yes, yes, so there are grad students that will be housing during the summer, but, so May 13th is for our returning students, so so the one thing, again, we still have not looked at new students that are going to be applying to live on campus, so we don't even have an understanding of what that number is gonna look like, so that's why it's a wait, so we're definitely gonna see more students coming in. I would say, like, to answer your question, it's limited, and what I could see being available for undergrad students right now.
And part of it too is because we haven't been as conservative in other years, and then as a result, we ended up with problems, and we had to turn people away. And then we had to use places like Plymouth, and we had to Dave had to build like a makeshift kitchen, but for 12 people to be sharing one kitchen is not working out great, and Dave really wants us out of Plymouth if we can, for lots of reasons. I still love Plymouth, we'll kind of argue that out as we go, but we're trying to avoid making the mistakes we made, not mistakes, but the things that we tried to do in other years that didn't work out the way they should have. And that's what we'll do in the end. In the end, we'll run a full analysis of where everyone ended up to make sure it looks fair, right? That the seniors got, people end up where they're supposed to end up. And then we make changes every year based on that analysis.
When is the date to withdraw from housing, and what would happen if someone who's already selected housing, like, withdraws from a suite or something like that?
I don't have the final date. What I would say, so for housing deposit wise, the housing deposit is not refundable. So I would say, like, we would need to know as soon as possible if you don't plan on getting housing, but I will get an official date that you have to notify us.
It's in the contract.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know it off the top of my head. But essentially, you want to do it by the date so that you're not billed for the entire year, because that's what would end up happening if you don't let us know by then.
And also remember, you have to be approved to live within the 50-mile, right, the commuter status versus the.
Is there anything else? Perfect. Thank you guys for answering those. Now, I lost my papers. Now we're going to move into the academic secretary liaison. So at this time, I motion for the recreation of the academic secretary position.
Second.
So before all of you, it's the original proposal by former President Sean Alvord for the creation of the academic secretary position. I wish to bring it back and just have it to be able to maintain a good relationship between our student body, the provost office, the registrar, and the library. So, and I'll read the little memo on it for you guys as well. So upon approval by Student Senate, this proposal will establish an official Student Senate liaison position titled the Secretary of Academics. This academic secretary will be considered an employee of the Senate and provided financial compensation unless the candidate is a current senator. The position will be open to all full-time undergraduate students. Since this is an official Senate liaison, the candidate must be approved by Student Senate. All other position details are left to the discretion of the Student Senate president. And it says on that paper the responsibilities and everything like that. Is there any questions about this position?
You said it's a returning one. Is there a reason that it left?
We just didn't have a position for it. It's not an official part of the executive board. So as a liaison, I would put for a proposal and then appoint somebody to that position after an interview process.
Thank you for the clarification on that.
All liaisonships expire at the end of the term, so we could create 50 of them, and all of them would be gone for a new administration. So.
Oh boy.
So would it be similar to like how the e-board is elected, where once you're appointed to that position, you lose your voting right?
No, not necessarily. If you're a senator, you'd keep your voting right, but if you would opt to keep your voting right, you wouldn't get paid. And then if you would opt to lose your voting right to get paid, then you'd opt out of that. And then also, this position would be open to anyone on campus, so
Yes.
anyone could apply for it. Because if last term secretary or academic secretary Heaney was not a part of the Senate when President Alvord appointed her to it. So.
Are there any questions about the position?
Let's move into a roll call vote.
Senator Baker,
Second.
vote yes, no, or
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Senator Bissonnette,
Yes.
Senator Bronson,
Yes.
Senator Brown,
Yes.
Senator Cloutier,
Yes.
Senator Conlon,
Yes.
Senator Day,
Yes.
Senator Garcia,
Yes.
Senator Godek,
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin,
Yes.
Senator Hastings,
Yes.
Senator Powers, Senator Shaw,
Yes.
Vice President Coffin,
Yes.
and President Bear Miller.
Yes.
14-0.
With 14 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 0 abstention, motion passes. And if anyone or any students are interested in this position, please contact me via email, just indicating your interest, and then we can go from there. Or anyone that would be interested as well. We are gonna have some stuff about it. Is there anything else for any existing business? Now let's go to visitors' comments. Is there anything for visitors' comments? Now committee reports.
Yes. The only thing I have to report is that next Monday, the 29th, I will be hosting my open office hours from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the Student Senate office downstairs for all Level D and club sports to look at their both audit from this current year as well as their proposed budget for next year. That's all I have.
I'll just
Be brief. MS Unite's Constitution update should be finalized in the upcoming days. Model UN activation has been postponed until next semester due to timing. However, they will be a great important to return. However, for my full report, please refer to the minutes. And just one last comment. All other club activations, reactivation, and constitution changes will be put on hold until we return for next semester.
So I've been speaking, Vice President Coffin sent out an email to me and Dave Brzezinski about the add-ons to the pavilion. So I think we're gonna start moving forward with that. But yeah, thanks.
Other questions?
Alrighty. I think the big thing is we are having our Senator headshots this week, this Thursday to be exact, at 12:45 at the Golden Bear statue. And just a good reminder that please wear black polos and tan or black khakis. The reason I want these to look nice is because they will be posters and they'll be distributed throughout the residence halls and also the academic buildings as well. And the last thing I would say is the Public Relations Committee is going to meet this week to discuss that.
And if nobody has a black polo or if they need any suggestions on where to get certain things, please reach out to any member of the e-board. I definitely have extras of just about anything, so please let us know. Also, everyone has their name tags, thanks to Secretary Souza, so please also wear those after Thursday. Now let's move to representative reports.
Yeah, so this past Friday, the class of 2025 council held their juniors only event. We had it in Rivers, we had Mario Kart, Just Dance. We had a good time. It's just kind of a precursor to senior year when we're going to be holding those senior only events during senior week and throughout the semester. Council applications were open until yesterday at 9 a.m. The class presidents decided to extend them until tonight at midnight. Personally, for the class of 2025 council, I'm looking at extending them further just due to low application numbers. So if I decide to move forward with that, I'll communicate that next week. We're also looking at locations for senior formal. We're looking right now, our number one location is Great Horse. I believe it's in Hamden. So more information about that will be given as I get it. We're very excited about that. Just a couple concerns. I briefly mentioned it, recruitment for council. I know every club right now really is facing low recruitment or low numbers and struggling with recruitment. And then also fundraising efforts. It is really, really hard to fundraise when we can only do cash. So definitely going to try to figure out some way to be able to process card and electronic payments because really no fundraiser is going to be successful if it's cash only. Anything else for the class of 25? Class of 2026?
So our class council for the class of 2026 has purchased items for fundraising. The start date for sales will depend on when we get those items in, with more information to come. The council also completed their community service for the spring semester with doing a trash pickup around Golden Bear Stadium. And also the council's audit and budget proposal were submitted to Chairperson Perrault for review. And for concerns, we don't have anything to report as of now.
Is there anything else for the class of 26?
I would like to just go off of what Jackie said, because I think especially with the fundraising discussion and how under a certain price it is cash only, it can make things incredibly difficult. So I think it would be a good idea to open up that discussion of whether or not we could find a way to accept things like card.
I will say this is something that's been coming up since last term. We've been looking into it. There have been some emails sent out about it before, but we will ramp up communications about it going forward, especially going into next school year.
Now, class of 27. Is there anything for class of 27?
We have an event the same day that we have photos. There's going to be an ice cream truck at 1, I believe. 1 to 3, Malicious. And how did our fundraiser go?
We had a fundraiser last Wednesday at Texas Roadhouse. I have not gotten the final numbers on how the fundraiser went, but from what I could tell, we had a decent turnout for that. We also decided, because of low numbers of applicants for council, that we're going to extend it until till tonight at midnight, dependent on how many applications we get. I definitely think that we might have to look into extending it further, just because for the 3 class applications, I think the total number of applications was around 15 people, which is extremely low. So I definitely think that's going to be something we're going to have to, I'll have to work with the other presidents about moving forward. And then, our event's going to be at the same time as Senate Headshots, right where we're doing Senate Headshots. So if you guys want to get ice cream, you can do that.
So what I'm hearing is you're giving us catering.
Just for y'all.
With that leeway in the joke, I do have to get going. I apologize, guys.
Anyway, is there anything else for the class of 2027? Nope. So we don't have a representative for the class of 2028 yet. Resident.
Due to the nature of the previous discussion about the res life classification, I don't think there's much I can really talk about, but I will say for the Resident Hall Association, the president has been elected for that club, and the rest of that elected boards elections will be upcoming this week, and that during the week of finals, the RHA Grilled Cheese event will be happening on Sunday, May 4th, and Tuesday, May 7th from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Sunday, May 4th, and Tuesday, May 7th.
Times?
8 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Anything else for us, residents? Commuter report, we bumped up our commuter. Was there anything else for,
So e-board applications for commuter council closed. However, it does look like they will have a full e-board. So yay. Big shout out. That's all.
Is there anything for Saturday's comments? I have something for Saturday's comments. Spring event is this Friday, so if you haven't bought your ticket yet, you should. It's only $5. It's this Friday. Doors open at 6. Cab is hosting a hype party from 3 to 6, I believe, and that's Pine Grove, so right at the fields, right next door. And yeah, tickets are on university tickets, or if you want to buy yours, say in cash day of, we're gonna be doing tickets at the door as well.
Still for $5?
Yeah, $5.
Something that's happening, but it's, I think, already too late to sign up for, is that the Accounting and Finance Association will be having their golf kickoff this Friday until I think around 5 p.m. But next year, we usually do it annually. If you guys are interested and you're part of the college business, it is an amazing way to make connections and talk to leaders in the industry, because it's a harp on especially making those connections and attempting to get those internship opportunities.
I just wanted to say again, obviously, like, you guys are doing a really good job with submitting reports, but some of you didn't submit reports today. So, if you did, like, if you had trouble with Kodiak, I know some of you emailed them to me, that's fine, that counts as submitting them, it doesn't have to be on Kodiak. Just make sure everyone's submitting them, and, please try to your best to make sure that if you copy and paste it, it doesn't show up as copy and pasting each individual letter. Please, I don't know how that happens, but it's very difficult, and please do your best to make sure it doesn't copy and paste into individual letters. Thank you.
The Office of Admissions will be holding a Golden Opportunity Day this upcoming Saturday. So expect to see some prospective students there. But just as a heads up, there will be prospective students on campus, and there will be a little bit more of a larger range of tours going on throughout the day as well.
So at this time, I move to adjourn today's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes, meeting
Due to the majority of my thinking, I figured it was not really necessary to talk about that again.
I was like, yeah. I was like, as soon as they come with all this stuff, I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's like I didn't know that was going to be on today's agenda to talk about that. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't
Sorry, I thought I'd respond. No, I really just looked at it. Oh, that's a draft.